College football is back, and I cannot even begin to tell you how excited I am to have College Football Saturdays back on my calendar. And if you're watching this video, you probably are the exact same way. So let's go ahead and break down the very first game of the season, Kansas State versus Iowa State, Week 0, and I can't wait to break this down. So let's go ahead and get started by saying, first off, that we make observations about teams in Week 0, not conclusions. These are not the finished products of these teams, so a lot can change, but these are a good indicator for what these teams will be at least. And also, I do want to point out that this game had a little bit of interesting parameters around it. Obviously, they played 4,000 miles away from home. There was bad weather, and there was a lot of mistakes, which is to be expected early on in the season. So keep that in mind as well as we break this game down. So first off, I was wrong about my prediction. Kansas State obviously did not win the game. That's who I thought would win the game. But I do think I was right about the matchups that would be important in this game. I was concerned about the fact that Iowa State was losing 2 NFL wide receivers that they had to replace, but I also said that Kansas State had a very vulnerable secondary, and I think both of those things played out. Iowa State was able to find a few important plays through the air here, but I do still worry about their passing attack against better secondaries. And on the other side of the ball, I told you that Iowa State secondary was the strength of that defense, and that also played out for the most part, as Kansas State was not super successful throwing the ball. Although I do have to give credit to Avery Johnson, he was able to make better decisions with the ball than he did most of last season, and he did make some pretty big plays as well, so give him some credit. We also knew that Iowa State's weakness would be stopping the run, which also played out. But with the big injury at the beginning of the game to Kansas State's best running back in Edwards, that definitely handicapped them a little bit. I also told you guys that Kansas State had the D-line edge, which also felt pretty accurate. They got a lot of pressure off the edge and were able to be more disruptive, especially against the run game, and they were able to generate more sacks. But towards the end, Iowa State was able to make a few big runs with Hansen. It seemed like Kansas State didn't really have that juice to play all 4 quarters on defense, and Iowa State was able to take advantage of that and lean on them a little bit and be more dedicated to the run and more successful in that area. And of course, we have to talk about the external factors, like I said, about the weather, being so far from home, and the game basically becoming Fumblegeddon. Obviously, it was super sloppy on both sides, so don't draw conclusions from that on this one game. As for play calling, both teams were very aggressive, and I think it ended up favoring Iowa State. There were a few questionable calls here, but nothing too crazy. I do think that Avery Johnson was able to get that first down on that 4th down conversion, but they didn't give it to him. Also, you have to give credit to Iowa State for playing a pretty clean game. They obviously had less penalties, which is to be expected from Iowa State and Matt Campbell's group. They're usually pretty solid in that area. But at the end of the day, I think Kansas State had the better team going into this game. And I stand by that, but I think that the injury to Edwards played a really big factor in why they were not able to win. I think they probably would have if they had him on the field, but that's football. Injuries happen, and they're really hard to predict, but it's a great win for Iowa State here to start the season. I do have concerns about them and Kansas State as well going forward that I want to keep an eye on, and overall, like I said, a few bad calls, a few aggressive coaching decisions here that didn't pan out, and an unexpected injury. But we mostly got what I think we expected from this game. Anyways, again, it's great to have college football back. Even though this game may have been a little bit sloppy and slow at the beginning, it was still a ton of fun, and I cannot wait for Week 1. That's all for today, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.